Well, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. Today's show comes with another disclaimer. Today's show is not fiction. This is an actual truthful story today, and we couldn't write this if we tried. So we're going to get right to it. First off, we're going to start with the Cathy Ann Viveiros debacle. It seems that she entered into a meeting with the mayor on December 19th to become the next city administrator. Boy, all her followers, all the people in Fall River who voted for her and put her #1 in the city of Fall River as a city councilor got their face slapped and got their votes handed back to them and their trust when she turned around and took that. And initially it was going to be for a 3-year contract. Why? So she could qualify for an $88,000 a year pension. Seems to me that Cathy Ann Viveiros should change her name to Judas, because as Judas did to Jesus by selling him for a few pieces of silver, Cathy Ann went and sold the city of Fall River for $88,000. So it seems to me that time is of the essence here. We're witnessing the signs and symptoms of the apocalypse coming forward. And what happened in this city over the past few weeks and what's coming forward over the past 24 to 48 hours is unbelievable. I made the comment when it was announced that Cathy Ann Viveiros was accepting the position as city administrator that she was taking us into the 9th ring of hell. And many people who have been questioned by the Herald News say they're not confident that Cathy Ann Viveiros is going to do a good job as city administrator. You know, and I have to say, am I? Cathy really doesn't have a proven record as a manager in smaller venues such as a mall and smaller companies. So how can she be a manager in a huge venue such as a multi-million-dollar corporation such as the city of Fall River? And by doing this, didn't she throw her credibility out the window, especially with the people of Fall River, by taking this job after being elected to city council? But you know, this is a page book right out of the Buddy Cianci book of politics. Keep your enemies closer. And the other thing is, set up the council and the school committee the exact way you want it. And right now, the mayor has everything going the way he wants it. On the city council, he now has the votes always necessary to do what he wants without argument. By Cathy Ann Viveiros stepping down, Jaziel Correa steps up from the 9th position. So right off the bat, the mayor gets 2 votes. He gets Paul De Silva as the newcomer and Jaziel Correa. What is this going to do to Linda Pacheco's position as council president? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But also on the school committee, he's got Melissa Panchley. Now there's another one, a Karen voice if ever we heard of one, and there it is again. The man now has 4 votes on the school committee. So he has 5 on the city council, he has 4 on the school committee. There are no arguments. What do you say, Bob? I mean, I'm lost here.
Well, it's pretty obvious that Cathy Ann has chosen profit over principle. You know, the city council, to me, has always been an office where people take it because they want to help the city. It's not a career move. It's a part-time job with a small salary attached and some benefits. But it's still something that you're not gonna earn the bread with. It's something that I would like to think that people run for because they want to do something beneficial for the city. And I think that a lot of people voted for Cathy Ann Viveiros because they felt in her runs against Will Flanagan, she said time and time again she didn't like the way this city was being run. She felt that the administrative procedures were way off, and they basically took some pretty heavy shots at each other, and they disagreed on many issues. So I find it very difficult to believe that there's been a truce called. I think this move is strictly monetary on the side of Cathy, and I think that she really has abandoned all those people that voted for her and made her #1 because they thought it was going to create more checks and balances with this mayor. And I think that any credibility that she has had, that she's running for political office because she wants to do the people's work, has been completely eliminated.
Obliterated, I think, is more like it. I mean, that political career just took a torpedo to the side and is sinking fast. But let's get on to the big news. This is something we couldn't write if we tried, and I wouldn't believe it unless I was there to see it. I mean, it's great to know that our law department went to the Crayola School of Law, where we don't do anything in writing. Isn't that amazing?
Well,
I mean, nothing in writing. We don't know. Nobody knows anything.
well, I think that they did go to the plausible deniability school of law, and I think one of the reasons is that I guess you and I have dealt with lawyers on many occasions. I did in bargaining. I've never seen a lawyer that doesn't put everything in writing. They want a paper trail. They want corroborative evidence. They want proof. They want to be able to say, on this day we said this. We even went to the extent of having a court stenographer basically at every meeting so they could say that the every word was totally accurate. Now, here's our law department, who are getting very well paid, and they are dealing with an $800,000 grant, almost $1 million. And last night they basically said virtually everything that had to do with this grant that they completely blew, by the way, they didn't make time limits, they didn't make anything, was verbal. They were talking about, well, we didn't know that there was a deadline, even though the court decree had a date, and it said 120 days from the date of the decree, and that's in the decree, so I guess they can't read a calendar. They also said that that they were, they weren't part of the court proceeding, which again amazes me. Fall River had an $800,000 interest in this issue. They could have filed an amicus brief, but they didn't. They virtually did nothing, lost the grant, and last night we saw one of the most pathetic excuses for reasoning for losing a grant I have ever seen. They proved they were total incompetence and that they should not be disciplined, and that came up in the meeting. And I urge all of you to watch this meeting, because they shouldn't be disciplined. They should be discharged.
I agree. To turn around and say that, I am upset that you are asking that disciplinary action be taken against me. Hey, Liz, grow a set, okay? Get real. You screwed up. You made a mistake. Why? Because you went on vacation. Haven't we had that story before in Fall River? Oh, I was on vacation. That's why we missed the CSO grant. Oh, I was on vacation. I'm sorry. I failed to file the CSO grant money. So we had to pay for the CSO grant. That's why we're paying a water fee. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to bond for the parks. Oh, so what? The state's going to give us a grant for that. We're going to bond for the parks. Now the grant's we're not going to get that. There's another $1 million out the window. And now we're going to give away another $1 million that Somerset was right on the ball to pick up. And then members of our city council went so far as to say that people in Somerset had an inside track on this and had this whole deal put together so they could get the full $1.6 million. I got a problem with that. Let's not point the fingers of blame here. Let's look right where the blame is. The blame is right in the law department. Right in the law department. They made the mistake. And then they had the nerve to say, we're going to take this to litigation. We can stop this with litigation. No, you can't. You lost it. As Dan Rigo said, the ship has sailed. Okay? You want to litigate it and rack up another bill for us for $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000? We're not going to see that money. That's it. It's gone. You blew it. It's gone. Sorry, Charlie. Okay? And the mayor, we know, for reasons that most of us know, because we can't say them, like they couldn't do yesterday at the city council meeting. We can't answer these questions because we know the answers already. Is not going to discipline the legal department. But Diorio and Souza should have their butts handed to them. This is not acceptable. This is not a law department. They put nothing in writing. They have no emails. And then, to top it all off, they found out that the gentleman, this Mr. Smith, I love that, doesn't even work for Dominion anymore. He stopped working for them back in September. And nobody could find this consent order. How long did it take me to find the consent order when I was in the city council meeting?
About 15 seconds.
15 seconds. I picked up my cell phone, boop, 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 there it was. I went, there it is, with the dates. I had the dates. And corporate counsel said, we didn't know when it was filed. We didn't know the dates. We didn't know what happened. Mike Mioza came up, and Mike Mioza pulled the whole thing up and held it up in front of them. But the corporate counsel couldn't do it. Mike's not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I mean, this is funny, isn't it? I mean, this is...
No, I would probably use the adjective tragic.
It is.
I mean, let's face it. We're looking at a nearly $1 million. And we did no background. We didn't do anything in writing. And then we heard every excuse known to man. One of the excuses was the consultant didn't inform us. The consultant who no longer was a consultant, and they didn't know it, which indicates what? Even to somebody who isn't Sherlock Holmes could figure out that there hasn't been a hell of a lot of communication between anybody on this issue if they didn't know the guy wasn't working for them. It took them 2 months to figure out the guy was no longer employed. But he didn't inform them. Since when does a consultant who is a consultant tell the people who's paying them what to do? Consultants work for people. They don't give you, they do what you tell them to do. We heard the consultant didn't tell us, Dominion didn't tell us, even though there was a letter produced by Dominion that said there were numerous attempts to contact the city of Fall River and they never received any return. So somebody's lying, and then we get the famous old, the 12-year-old rationale. You know, I stole a cookie, Mommy, but CJ stole one too.
Exactly.
Well, so now we're going to say Somerset had help to get their grant. So we're going to say let's divert the issue to Somerset. Well, if Representative had that help them, so be it. The fact is, if she could help them, why couldn't our reps help us? Why weren't they asked? Why didn't somebody know what the hell was going on here? And the reality is it gets better. Do you know what you get for being incompetent, inept in this city?
A $9,000 door.
She gets to pick a $9,000 door for her office. $9,000, that's what I said. And she had the audacity at the end of that questioning, that's why I urge you all to watch this, to say, oh, it would be nice if we had all those doors on it. She watches The Good Wife, and that's the door they have in The Good Wife. And she wanted a door just like they have on TV. Is there a disconnect between the real Fall River and what they see? Because she said she sees these doors in Boston and Providence. Well, you know something? There are people working in Boston and Providence.
Yeah, and you know, it was interesting. I got to give her, I do have to give her an award, though. She had the best looking shoes. You have to admit.
Yeah, the leopard shoes with the red bows. I thought she just came from Oz. But that's another issue.
But again, you know, she said that she goes to Boston, she goes to Providence. Those doors look good, and they set up an atmosphere. And it was very interesting because she actually finally broke down. You know, and I don't mean she emotionally broke down. You know, she was holding up this facade, this strong, staunch thing, because she has been, now remember, this meeting started at 5:30, and she's been beaten and beaten and beaten since 5:30 to get information. Now this part came up when we were talking about the $560,000 loan order to fix City Hall, which the mayor, if you remember, insisted that not one dime came from the loan order. Then the statement was, I don't know where the money came from. Then the statement was, well, it came from, it's possible, well, some of the money came from the loan order. Then it was. And do you know where that money was supposed to go? It was supposed to make the collector's office safe. It was supposed to make the auditor's office fixed up. Where did it go? Well, let's see. TV screens on every floor. A new, beautiful floor and carpeting on the 6th floor because we entertain governors, plural. Not one, plural. Where did the other governors come from?
You're also forgetting the $5,000 ceiling in the mayor's shower
I was just going to get to that.
in his office.
His marble-like shower. It's not
His
marble. It's marble-like.
His faux marble. His faux marble
His
shower.
faux marble shower. One that President Obama would love to have. But you know what we skipped over? Because it wasn't important to the mayor, obviously, and it wasn't important to the construction people. But we skipped over the handicapped accessible bathrooms, which were ordered by the state for the first floor, which we don't have, which we could be fined for. So if the state were to come in tomorrow or after the first of the year and say, where are these bathrooms? And they go, oh, well, you know, you got to go up to the 6th floor and see the beautiful shower we put in for the mayor. They'll say, okay, here's your fine. Do it. I mean, but this is where things are going here in Fall River, okay? Your tax dollars, your money, is going to that. And here's the best part about this. This $560,000 loan order was a short-term loan. Do you know what that means? 1 year. So that loan order is due right after the first of the year. So we got to come up with $500,000 right after the first of the year.
Plus interest.
Plus interest.
And we also did mention that the law department was painted 3 times.
Right, because she didn't like it.
That's right.
But Ken Pacheco did say, no, I damaged the walls. And Ray Mitchell made it perfectly clear that I know why you changed it, because where you were doing the work did not damage the walls. We know that Corporate Counsel didn't like the paint. And she admitted she's entitled to these things. She made these decisions. She's entitled to these things. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, I don't know what planet she's on that she's entitled to these things, because I have to question why, if she is, as the Corporation Counsel, has complete oversight over what color paint, what kind of doors, and we have an unlimited paycheck, which obviously she does, a blank check, because the taxpayers are paying, and obviously she has no conception of what that means, because she's entitled. Why isn't Madeline Coelho able to pick the paint in her office? Why doesn't Kenny Pacheco pick the paint in his office and the type of door? Only she can do this. Well, we're not gonna. You know, there's a whisper campaign over why she can do this, and we'll leave it up to you to do some research out there. But I think that there's obvious favoritism in this law department, and it's ridiculous. Do you think a glass door helps get a better deposition? Do you believe a color paint that you like makes you a better lawyer? Well, I'll tell you what. Now I'm sure that the mayor and our entire law department took the bar exam in crayon.
Well, you know, they did do something right. They got a retired purchasing agent to sign for everything. Tim McCoy didn't sign for one thing. A retired purchasing agent signed for it. And then this guy, I can't even remember his name now, that was sitting at the end of the table looking. Noons. Yeah, Noons. Turns around and says, oh, no, it's perfectly legal. She worked it for us part-time until September.
Well, it seems we never get rid of anybody in this city. Even after they're gone, they're still working here as consultants or part-timers. So, and then we give the other person that replaces them a raise and a salary. But we have to say that you have to watch this meeting. I mean, if the taxpayers in this city don't begin to get the torches and the stakes ready after this, the city is gone. I mean, it is ridiculous. We have talked before about A Tale of Two Cities, about these people who live in a world of the Great Gatsby, while people in Fall River are trying to scrape to keep their mortgage together. And yesterday was the final and most positive proof you could get that this administration and everybody in it doesn't give a damn about the taxpayers and how much tax burden they impose on the people of Fall River. This woman had the audacity to say offhandedly in a cavalier manner, we should put $9,000 doors everywhere in City Hall. It'd make it look really nice. Well, you know, you can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. And I'll tell you what, the fact is, our law department is a bunch of clunkers.
It's terrible. And you know, we're at the end of the year, and I'll tell you now, I'm gonna end the year with a bang with my commentary. Our year started off with a bang, and it's ending with a different type of bang. It's ending with a bang where we have the #1 vote getter for the city council turning her back on the citizens that elected her and telling them, Ava, go, I don't care. They gave me a better job to do something for the city. And that's how it's going to be played off, that this is a better job for her to do something for the city. And it's not. It's a better job for her to get a better pension. She's going to do better for Cathy Ann Viveiros. She doesn't have a background in running this type of system. Her credibility is now shot, and her political career is over. So we're stuck with it. And this was a political ploy by the mayor and a political gain for Cathy Ann. The political gain is cash. All right? You, the people of Fall River, did not want to listen. You did not want to hear, and obviously you either were too apathetic or you just didn't care anymore, and you thought Will Shenanigans was the best thing to slice bread like butter. And you know what? We've just found out that he and his law department and his group of flunkies are nothing more than a bunch of profiteers. They're out to get whatever they can line their pockets with and whatever they can walk away with. Fall River is literally on the 9th ring of hell. All right? The apocalypse is happening, and the signs were in the city council chamber that Monday. We saw them happening. When the city council can sit there and ask the questions of corporate counsel, and corporate counsel just says, I wanted them. It's only $8,000. $8,000 of your money, of my money, of our tax dollars. And don't you care about that? And when people from the finance department can't answer how we're going to pay that back because they haven't looked at it yet, the money's due in a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two, and you haven't even looked at how you're going to pay $560,000 back on a short-term loan, which is 1 year, you should have those numbers right in front of you. You could answer the fact that it was $5,600 in interest, but you can't answer how we're going to pay it back. You need to know your facts in that matter. And then to have people sitting around the city council chamber appalled and upset, and I thought for sure somebody was going to swing at somebody. And you see the supporters of the mayor sitting there, can't believing what's happening. Some of them, you know, kind of hiding their face, going, this can't really be happening. And the mayor, and the question was asked, who made the mayor's office and the corporate counsel's office a priority over the city collector's office? And the only answer that Ken Pacheco gave was, we know the answer to that, don't we? Yes, we do. We know the answer to that. The answer to that is Mayor Flanagan. And you know what, Mayor Flanagan? How is your bathroom and your shower of the people's building so important? It's not. And all this signage and all these TV sets and everything else, which, by the way, right now the only thing on those TV sets in that building is a picture of Mayor Flanagan. How is that helping us? It's not. So remember, people, take out your wallet every time you walk into Government Center and dump the cash out into the nearest bucket, because that's what you're doing every day by re-electing this man for another 2 years. Remember this in 2 years, but then again, this is Fall River. We can't remember yesterday. And that's the end of my opinion for 2013 in Fall River.
Well, good. Well said, CJ. And since it's the end of the year, I'm going to do a little mini rant, and it's going to segue into what you just said. Kenny Pacheco refused to identify who was responsible. I think the council was remiss in demanding he answer that question in his capacity as the acting city administrator, because we all know who it is. But let's put it out to the public. Let's tell the taxpayers. They forget who they work for. And while I'm on that, this is why I wanted to speak. Pat Casey, the pet rock of the city council, who in her entire 20-some year tenure has never voted against an initiative sent down by any mayor, defended and got upset because these questions were being posed and said that they shouldn't be put through this abuse. Well, they're getting well in excess of $100,000 per person. That's what they get paid to do, answer these questions. And the city council's job is to protect the taxpayer. Pat Casey, go back to dog grooming. Get out of the city council. You are a disgrace.
I agree. I agree. You know, it's been a tough year for Fall River, and it's not going to get any better. It's time for the people to rise up. You know, maybe if we burn the mayor in effigy a couple of times out in front of the government center, maybe our voices will be heard. We still have unanswered questions and things just not going our way. It's time for Fall River to take back its city. It's time for the people to stand up and say, you know, I am Fall River. You know, Fall River just isn't a city. Fall River just isn't a place we live, all right? Fall River is inside of each and every one of us. That comment came from my co-host and partner in crime here a long time back, and it has stuck with me ever since. And I know you hate us. There's a lot of you out there who hate us, and you hate us so much that you love to watch us every week because you want to see what we're going to do next. But you know, this show's going to continue on because as long as there's issues to present, we're going to keep presenting them. And we're looking to you to bring us more information. I was up at 12:30 this morning from phone calls about last night's meeting. I'm getting phone calls at my house. And let me tell you something, I don't mind. Call me. Call Chip. Call our phone number for the show if you want to stay anonymous. Send us an email. We're here for you. Have a great and happy holiday season. Have a happy 2014, and we're going to see you again in 2014. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
And we're going to bring you the Straight Talk. Thank you. Have a great new year.